Show. Peter G. Show. Peter G. Show. Peter G. Show. Divorced dad, single dad. Divorced dad, single dad. Peter G. Show.
Sunday. Labor Day, Sunday weekend. I was looking forward to it for most of you. Most people don't have to go to work tomorrow. Some people do. God bless the ones that do. I understand completely. Believe me, I've been there, done that. Still doing that sometimes. Never know. Whatever it takes. Labor Day, Sunday weekend. Grab yourself an adult beverage and kick back. Tonight's going to be an interesting night. I was able to catch my breath a little bit this week. Last week was a cluster screw, for me anyway. And I apologize. Came in a little bit unprepared, but you know, every show, no matter what comes out of my mouth, there's always something of worth most of the time. Anyway, how's everybody doing? It's going to be an interesting show tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about some relationships gone bad. Shocking, huh? First thing first, heart goes out to those on the East Coast, my Florida brethren. We got your back. I know you guys can handle this. It's not your first rodeo. At least you know you can get ready, and with a little bit of luck, you'll just have somewhat of a mess. But hey, I love everybody when everybody chimes in, but I want you guys to be more vocal. Anyway, hurricane, pain in the ass, pick your poison, earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, blah, blah, blah. Be prepared. Life comes first. Okay, guys? Next, the most important hurricane party tonight is going to be the Hurricane Peter G. Show watch party. If you give a shit about me in this show, I told you we're going to do this in a very, very unusual way, but this is how this show is building. All we do is we take this show that you're watching right now, and we're going to go and hit the share button. I'm going to do it too. We're going to hit the share button. Hang on. I'm looking for me. Oh, looking for me in all the wrong... Oh, there I am. Everywhere I go, there I am. So we're gonna look for the share button. You hit the share button, and it's gonna say start a watch party. Look, I'm starting. If you'll pay attention to your page, you'll probably see it says I watch. I go, I love this show, but I'm partial. Look, it says I'm starting a watch party. Ain't that some shit? The reason for starting a watch party, I'm gonna tell you why. It's very important because you don't know how many friends you have that might be needing some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth and other people's mouths on this show, because I'm hoping it brings light to a lot of people. Hey, don't be afraid to say, hey, I want to know you're there. I can't watch all the pages. So, and the thing is, when you start a watch party, not only are you sharing it, but you're bringing it to life for other people, and then they can share it too. Because, again, I truly believe that there's some stuff going on here that already I've known it, or, you know, it's happening. There's a lot of good stuff that people are calling in and writing me and texting me and going, you know what, been watching your show. Sorry, I'm a lurker. I'm quiet. You know, I don't really speak a lot. But they said, you know, but we love your show. We love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Can't wait till it grows bigger, better. And that's the only way we're going to do it. I'm here doing something that is really unorthodox through Facebook platform because I like the Facebook people. You got to get to a certain age for shit to start happening in your life, and that's a big deal. So start a watch party. Let me do one more here. Watch party. Here we go. So again, you look for the share button on whatever page you're watching, and you hit the share button. Can I do this? And whoa, there I am. Start a watch party. So I'm going to start another because I got a couple of pages and I like making it happen. Hey, Sunday night. Make sure you have a glass of wine in your hand, a beer or something. Just take it nice and easy. This is what it's about. Tonight, relationships gone bad. I got two people. I got a female and a male, both on opposite sides of the coast that I just wanted to talk to because things are going wrong. And they've been contacting me and I've been contacting them. And I said, you know what? We're going to make it happen tonight. Tonight's going to be one of those nights. A little bit more of my normal Peter G. Relationship, divorce, single parenting, all of the above. But sometimes I got to go back to my roots. I like it. Okay? So that's going to be happening. Anything else, Peter? Okay. And before first and most, and don't forget it, now that you've started a watch party, this show could not be started a watch party and be here if it wasn't for my beloved Bolt Energy. Yes, folks, Bolt Energy. Energize, that's it. Electrify your senses. I'm almost starting to sound like James from Culver City now. He's got me tongue-tied. Electrify your senses. Why Bolt Energy? Why did I go with these guys? Number one, tastes good. Tastes good. Oops. Tastes real good. It's got no preservatives, okay? It's enriched with vitamins and antioxidants. And number one, it tastes good. You don't need a big giant can to drink. You drink this, you don't get no buzz, you don't start getting all jittery, you don't get weird. It just makes you keep going. And you know what I mean? Just makes you feel like life should feel. That's right. That's right. I love Bolt Energy, and I love my people with Bolt Energy because they believe in me and I believe in them, okay? Bolt Energy. Ask for it in stores. If you can't find it, go to www.drinkboltenergy. You can write to them. They'll write you back. In the Southern California area, they'll even ship it to you, I'm pretty sure. So check with them. Talk to them. They're growing. They're hitting it one place at a time, and it's starting to spread like wildfire. And as always, I'm going to pop open a can of Bolt Energy. I can't drink energy drinks and I don't drink them a lot, but and again, cleaner energy drink. These guys are workout fanatics, and that's a big deal too. The whole thing with no preservatives. You know how much crap is in the? They always say, "Oh, they're so bad for you." These are, if you're going to do it, and most people do, go for the better one. Bolt Energy. Hold on, nice and cold. Came out of the freezer. Electrify your senses. Ask for it in stores if you don't see it. The more you keep asking, the more you got a chance to go get it. I like it. It's a little bit carbonated. It's got that little bright kick. Tastes good, though. And I haven't started experimenting with alcohol yet with it, but they have. And and I know that there's some good stuff going on. And it glows in the dark, too, with the black light. So you can be a fancy bartender with this stuff, too. All right. So with that being said, Bolt Energy in the house. We'll talk about it before I leave again. But tonight I have two special guests that I'm going to be talking to over the phone. And one is on the West Coast and one is in the Gulf Coast. And one is a female and one is a male. And we're going to start off with Victoria tonight. Victoria is somebody who was on my show several years ago. She did a piece on... I was doing a lot more, and still do, a lot more child-parent alienization when the children don't want to go near the parent for some reason, like, the other parents poison their brains and, just stuff like that. She experienced that, went through it. She's a real smart woman, and I had her on the show, and we did a piece on that a few years ago. It's on YouTube, somewhere in the Peter G. Show files. There's tons of good stuff on that. You can learn a lot. Sometimes it's best if you start watching that stuff so you don't make mistakes more than what you have to. Lord knows there's enough that goes on and goes wrong. But anyway, I'm going to call her right now. I told her I didn't want to leave her hanging on the phone, but I tried to get to the point real quick and get her on because I got two people tonight, and these things get lengthy, and I just got to try to keep the ball rolling. But I'm doing this for you people. I love everybody, and I appreciate everybody. Don't forget, hit the watch party button, all right? Let's start the watch party button, and I'm going to give Victoria a call, and we're going to see what's going on. So let's see what's going on here. Anyway, one ringy dingy.
Hello there.
Hi, Victoria. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, pretty much. Just like I said, nice and clean. You're live on the air right now, and just want you to know, so we're going to be just moving right along because I know it's going to be a fun-packed evening with you.
Well, very good.
Yeah. How are you?
Very nice. I'm well.
Okay.
I'm well. I'm good.
Okay. Now, the thing is, I know what we've talked about in the past because I kind of know you, but all of a sudden if this is how I find things. I follow on Facebook and I see some things that went on in your life, and I'm going to just kind of be backing it up, and we're going to start from the beginning and try to cut to the chase because I got about 25 minutes with you, and I want to make it count for all these people here. But last time I spoke with you, you were, let's back it up. You're divorced with 3 children, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so they're pretty grown by now because I've known you probably since about 2012, something like that, 13, right?
Right.
Okay. You had your own problems with some hell going on with that. We did the show that you were kind enough to go on and do the parent-children alienization piece with me, and that was a really informative because there's a lot of people that experience that. But times have changed now, correct? You were divorced. You found somebody else, from what I remember. Now, is this the sailboat guy?
It is.
Okay, so now we go. So Victoria it was divorced, and now time passes. Victoria's a good-looking woman. I can easily tell you that. And she found somebody else eventually, right?
I did.
Okay. Did you marry that person, or are you just dating?
No, but very quickly after meeting him, he put a rock on my finger, and I moved in to his home in Agora Hills off a golf course.
So things were good.
Things were very good, and I was happy, and he looked like he was happy too.
Now
we were happy.
That's a long time ago. How many years ago was that?
3 years. 2000, end of 2016. I got engaged in November.
Okay.
And my son, who was 15, joined me half the month. So Jonathan was a stepfather to my son, and they really hit it off.
That's
and
good.
we were a happy family. And this came together so beautifully and so smoothly that I was set, Peter. I thought this was going to be the last relationship of my life, and I can't say that there was any warning signs except for a couple things that I did out of thinking I was being very courteous, not digging into his past. But he briefly mentioned that he had dated a woman before he came out to California who killed herself a month after he broke up with her.
Okay. I mean, but...
And that was the reason why he came out to California.
Okay.
Is to get away from a situation that kind of went bad.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'd never seen him act in a way except he was not all that nice to his dogs. He had 2 older dogs.
Okay.
And he would make them stay out in the heat, and I would bring them in, and I was loving and sweet. He was very rough with them. He was mean to every waiter that ever waited on us. Very rude.
Okay.
And anyone that he wasn't forced to be nice to,
yeah,
he wasn't that nice to them.
Okay, but do you think he was forced to be nice to you, or he's just... How come the Jekyll and Hyde? With you, great. Other people, not so great.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think that those 3 things were the only signs I ever saw of a vindictive nature. And they softened when they were around me, and then they disappeared.
Okay.
He transformed and got happy.
Okay, that's a good
thing. And we went about our way. For the first year, he had some health problems that caused considerable problems for him financially, because he ended up having a huge deductibles.
Okay.
And he stopped touching me.
Okay. Well, maybe he didn't feel good.
And he's turning 50. That sometimes happens.
Whoop-de-doo,
right?
50. You're still... I've seen you. Your pictures of you recently.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the kind of woman that will dump you if you have ED, and that's what I thought happened.
Okay. And,
so...
Go ahead.
We went on to the relationship. I can tell you now, I can look back at things that distance started to grow considerably into the, we were together 3 years into the second year. We were very busy. We went on a lot of trips. I took him to Cabo. He took me to Cabo. I went twice that, 2018. We went to a wedding. We did a lot that year, but when it came into 2019, it became very apparent that he was miserable at his job.
Okay, was he still good with your kids in the meantime?
Very good with my kids. There was nothing wrong relationship-wise.
Okay.
But he brooded, and I asked him 1,000 times, what's wrong? And he wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
So looking back now, I mean, I'd never put up with that in another relationship, because it's too costly. There was a lot wrong. He was talking to other people about his problems with me, as I found out. But to me personally, he would not bring up any issue. He was not unhappy with me on any note, except that he was unhappy I couldn't keep a full-time job and that I wasn't supporting the household more. Well, this was the thing. Jonathan met me right after a traumatic event. And he knew that that was going to cause considerable backlash, and it did. It caused anxiety, and it caused a lot of, well, frankly, panic attacks. I was raped. And he knew this.
Yeah.
So we come together as adults, things happen, and I knew that I needed to support the household in terms of being a contributing partner. So I made sure that the house was clean. He had dinner on the table because we went out every single night.
Oh, damn.
You know how expensive that is, Peter?
It is.
You can ring up $1,500 to $2,000 a month just eating out 5 times a week.
Oh,
and that's what he was doing.
Easily. I mean,
easily.
McDonald's is, $20 for 2 people.
And he didn't like doing McDonald's. He
Yeah.
wanted to go to Wood Ranch. He wanted to go to sushi. It was $100 a pop.
Yeah.
He was spending at least $1,900 to $2,200 a month going out to dinner. And I
Okay.
said, listen, I'm not working.
Yeah.
Why don't you shop? We'll spend $600 for the household for the month, and I'll make meals, and you can come home to a nice meal when you come home.
Are you a good cook?
Did his wash. I folded his T-shirts and ironed his clothes. I became Betty White,
Hey.
a 1950s housewife. So, yeah, I was happy.
Yeah.
I was okay because I couldn't be out there working like
Uh-huh.
someone in their 30s. This thing happened to me. My concentration went sideways. I was doing the best I could, and I took the most expensive bill of the household, which was his insurance, because he got tickets. He was a speed demon.
Okay.
And I thought I was appreciated in the things I did, but evidently I found out that he was really unhappy I wasn't making a huge, nice, big chunk of money and handing it to him every month.
Well, you weren't making that when you met him, right?
No.
Okay.
And when I did, for a very short time,
Yeah.
Peter, he still wanted to go out to dinner every night.
Well, I
And
understand.
I didn't see anything as a result of about $6,000 transferring into his hands. We didn't go on vacations. We didn't do anything.
Right.
So I did the best I could to be equitable, take care of him, the household. By the way, transformed a backyard he neglected into a nirvana. Absolutely beautiful.
Sure. Pride of ownership.
I'm an interior designer. I absolutely beautified, moved in, and made his surroundings beautiful. And I did the best I could at being a good cook.
Okay.
And I didn't sense a problem in my happy little life until his father said, "I have cancer, son. I need you to come out and be with me." Now, his relationship with his family is very complicated. They're all not very emotionally healthy. They're not.
Okay.
Alcoholism is rampant. His mother has considerable leverage emotionally that she doesn't, and it's not nice, some of the things she says and does. His sister was in a relationship with an alcoholic for 10 years. That tells you a lot.
Yeah, but
You have to
that's
be-
let's that's
Yeah,
you
that's
know what I mean?
them, but they would enter. Yeah, but listen.
I am.
He went out there to the family to be with his dad, and the dynamic out there, I guess, exploded several times because of the pressure with his illness.
Where's
And
out
a
there?
big showdown in Indiana.
Okay, so you have
And
to
his
go far.
sister, I guess, took his dad out and screamed at him in public about her grievances. Then he comes home to me, and he's up all night trying to get his plane tickets changed. He has no sleep. He had a tremendously emotionally stressful
It's a lot of pressure.
event with his sister and his dad.
Sure.
And he's coming home to me and he's texting me. And I basically text him because I'm coming out of the bubble. My head is clearing. I'm ready to go back to work. I feel good. and I'm starting to be a little bit of an accountability to him in that I'm texting him something we've discussed many times before, but now I have clarity. And in my text, I said, when you come home, you need to fix your problems. If you're unhappy with your job, change it. Get a resume together. You need to figure out why you don't want to have sex with me.
Wait, hold on.
You need to go to a doctor.
Let's back it up.
Go to a therapist.
His job that he's been doing, is it something he's been doing most of his life, or it was something he recently switched to because
most of his life, but this job, he had a problem with a coworker and a boss that wasn't a good leader.
Typical.
No defined lines. He's in charge of everything and is undermined. Very frustrating for him.
The norm.
And I heard about it constantly.
Yeah.
He bitched about that constantly.
Yeah.
So I basically, in the text, said, I'm ready. I'm ready to face these with you. When you come home, his death is imminent.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see how you're handling this. You're not going to handle that well. You need to get ready. Get your house in order. And suddenly it was as if he was texting. Actually, he was saying, yes, I know I've been compliant. Yes, I know. And then suddenly his whole tone changes, almost as if he's interacting with someone screaming at him as he's texting me. I mean, it was that much of a shift. He started to basically yell at me in the text, saying, I can't do this anymore. This is blankety blank. I want you out. I'm calling the police. I want them dragging you out of the house. I'm like going, whoa, what is this?
I was getting ready to say text can be taken out of context. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can write something,
well, there was nothing out of context for this, but the nothing was congruent in the shift from the conversation that was a back and forth to a sudden rocket going off. So my reaction was, we're not doing this in a text. Calm down. It's going to be all right. I'm trying to deflate and decompress him, and there is no response.
Okay.
There's an escalation that's like watching from afar, a nuke going off. He says, I'm boarding now. When I get home, I want you gone. And that was when the light went off on me. Okay. I'm like, okay, hell no. This is not happening. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
Come home, land. I'll pick you up. We'll discuss this.
Right.
Well, he texted me, no, I want you gone. It's over. Definitively saying, I've made a decision. You're gone. This is done.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hang up the phone, he broke up with me in a text, and I'm devastated. Absolutely devastated to the degree where I believe this guy. It was almost, and then I realized this is what a psychotic break looks like in a text. Something is very wrong. So I waited.
Go ahead.
So I waited to make sure he texted me back and just pounded down that do something. I want you gone. You need to find a place to be. And I'm digging my heels in, and I'm saying, I'm fighting back at this point. It's like, you don't have a right to make me leave my home. I've been here for 3 years. No cop is ever going to make a woman leave.
That's true.
That this is her home. But now I'm realizing I don't know who I'm talking to. The way he's talking to me is, I don't know this man. Never in my relationship has he ever talked to me with disrespect, much less such a malicious tone that I'm realizing, oh my God, who is this person? So I stop, but the problem is my heart is going bananas.
You get like that feeling when a cop pulls you over. I mean, you just get, that you're from top to bottom.
Except that he was sitting in a cardiac visit getting a diagnosis. They thought I had a blockage on my heart, and any excitability or stress was dangerous. Jonathan knew that when he did this to me. And my heart started to bounce out of my chest, and I realized I'm in trouble. So I called 911. They come. Paramedic takes my blood pressure. I've got 170 over 130. Peter, I could have stroked out.
Sure.
That was dangerous for me. They rushed me to the hospital.
That's one way of getting out of the house.
I'm done. Yeah, his keys go to a neighbor across the street. I'm gone.
Okay.
Evidently 9 o'clock in the morning comes. He doesn't come straight home. He goes to a mutual friend. He gets his car keys. Instead of going to work when he learns I'm in a hospital, he goes to work. Calls me from work, and I'm basically saying, tell my children I'm in the hospital. I hang up. Well, when he hung up with me and he called my kids and told them where I was, he told them both that he broke up. We mutually broke up. And he put a blast out to all of his friends that Victoria and I mutually are breaking up. Erased me from Facebook. This is while I'm in the hospital. I've got tubes in my arm. There's no two-way conversation. It was just a request to please tell my kids that I'm in the hospital. Because at this point, they didn't know whether or not what the problem was, why my blood pressure, they couldn't contain it. He made decisions when he got off the phone to terminate our relationship, but he framed it in such a way that it was mutual. And he took me off the checking account, tore everything up in terms of financial agreements, so that when he Ubered me home 3 days later from the hospital, I find out that all the money that I had in the mutual account is gone. He confiscated it. And that he didn't come home. Now I've not talked to him. I've only texted him. I have no idea what's going on. He won't return my calls. He won't respond to my text. And, he doesn't respond to me for 5 days. When I finally do see him, he brings 2 guys from work to take everything out of the garage, bring it down, and separate our stuff. So I'm starting to think, this is happening. And I look at him and I said, what is going on? He said, I have no problems. I've had them my whole life. I was told by a professional not to get in a relationship when I came to California. And it wasn't fair to you. I just thought your nurturing would heal me. And I have to do this. And at this point, I'm thinking in my head, Peter, this man went through a nervous breakdown. And what do? I hug him.
Okay.
That was my reaction to him.
Okay, so you unknowingly started dating a psycho who was able to contain it, and you knew nothing of his
Not
past.
a psycho.
What do you want to call it?
Not a psycho.
What do you want to call it?
An executive in an IT company with 10 people below him, never breaking form, acting totally in control, having absolutely no dialogue with me about anything that he had a problem with for a 3-year relationship. I thought the guy was happy and in love with me.
For 3 years, that's pretty damn good.
He's pretty darn good, yeah. No, he's not a psycho.
Okay,
what
what
he
is
was a man. Well, let me tell you to finish the story.
Okay, because I got to
4 days later, 4 days later, he comes to my bed, wants to have sex with me. I'm thinking, oh, good, we're reconciling. So I make this passionate, wonderful interaction with him, except for the way he looked at me when we were done made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Something was terribly wrong. The next morning, I texted him. I said, you just used me last night. 2 days later, he comes to my bed in the middle of the night again, kissing my face affectionately. I go, no, you can't do this. You're not doing this. 2 days later, I get served by a sheriff at 7:30 in the morning while he's showering. Not good timing on his part. With an order to vacate the property that was signed a week earlier. So while he came to my bed, he knew he was throwing me out. Now, Peter, I'm pissed. You can light a match on my ass at this point. And the poor bastard was taking a shower when I got served. And unlucky for him, I know how to kick a door open. Too, of course. His bathroom door was kicked open. I yanked the shower curtain open, had this had this form in my hands, and I asked him one question. How long was I loving you when you hated my guts?
And?
This is the type of stuff you do to a woman you hate.
Well, it's pretty, he's got it all lined up, that's for sure.
So this is why I went on your show. Now that I have time to think about this, I think he knew how good I would be at fixing the problem that he had to go to such an extreme to burn his bridges. He knew there was no way back. I think he knew how good I would be in presenting my point that he had to block me from anyone we knew, because if they spent 2 minutes with me, they would start to doubt the man they knew.
Well, he'll tell his side, and you know what I mean. So you separate.
I have forms.
Yeah.
I have the proof.
I know, but look, at the end of the day, if he didn't love you, you're going to lose no matter what. It sucks the way you're telling this story, pretty preconceived, and you know, out of the blue, and he held it in for a long time. But you can't stop what's going to happen any way you look at it.
No,
you know what I mean?
I know, but the truth is,
crazy sounding.
Contrary to the man he was parading and saying who he was, he is the antithesis. Peter,
yes.
Any woman that knows what he did to me would have nothing to do with him. He is a woman's nightmare.
Mentally or physically?
Both.
Do
to
tell.
trap a woman in a relationship long term and withdraw sex. By the way, when he was kissing my face, he was telling me how much he enjoyed me physically. So why did he withhold sex? Power and dominance. While he was out there slaying the dragons, working, and I'm being the little housewife, thinking I'm loving and supporting him. Yeah. He's telling everyone what a loser I am because I'm not working. No one knows I'm raped. That was private. Now I don't care because I'm not suffering from it.
Yeah, there's no shame in that. Not
so
looking
back now, Peter, this is the rhyme of the story. You are where you are when you pick a partner.
Yeah.
I was able to spiritually grow, get my stuff together, and I was moving on. I was starting to be an accountability to him. He, on the other hand, he had business that he just used. That game plan, how he smudged me from his life, was something he's done before. A guy doesn't just discover that in the middle of the night. It took planning to remove me in one day.
Oh, yeah.
That was something you know how to do.
Yeah.
The whole idea, right, is that I was glad that I know who he is, because who I was in love with didn't really exist. He did me a favor. He did it really well, but it almost killed me. But since I survived, he did it so that I had to move on, and that was a good thing. But why I went on your show is to talk about your exit strategies of your relationship in our age group can kill people. You cannot do the things you do that ruin people just so you can say you can go. You don't have to make someone horrible or a wreck or crazy. You could just look at your partner and say, listen, it's been really great, but I can't do this anymore. Look, you can actually say that to a decent person. Yeah. And if they love you, they're going to look at you and go, what?
No,
and they'll do what they do.
It's a mind blower, Victoria. You can't. You had no clue. It'd be different if you're having issues with him and you guys are, having knockdown dragouts, and it's like, well, this sucks. I knew it was coming. You're telling me you had no idea it was coming. You felt weird, but not this kind of weird. That's screwed up. And life's a bitch enough as it is, just being in this world and trying to be, let alone the blindsided, getting hit from the back of the head. Sure, every day can't be a bowl of cherries, but you're telling me that he just preconceived this, and one day, all of a sudden, within the snap of a finger, now you're without a relationship, you're not in a home with somebody you've been with for over 3 years, and now you're starting over. Again.
He erased all the photos and videos of our life together. And what I should say is, while I was barely out of the hospital, he took my teenage son for the entire day. He's 18. He's living with his dad. I had no idea he did this until it was done. Had him for the entire day, and my son Peter still won't talk to him. I don't know what he told my son, but my son blames me for taking his stepfather away. That was the zinger.
Wow.
He interrupted our relationship. Look, I want to say everybody has a right to their preferences. He had a right to end his relationship with me, and that was his business. What he didn't have a right to do is to do it in such a way that would either make me not capable ever to bond with someone again, because I was so blindsided at an age where you can't take too many hits before you close the barn doors and you never go here again.
Look.
And
Go ahead.
you can't do that sort of thing to people in their 50s and 60s because it can cause real physical harm.
It could cause harm no matter what. But look, you're not going to sit there and tell me there's nothing psychotic about this. You can't just, a normal person, I wouldn't have it in me to be able to function, to just do that. Okay? I mean,
Yeah, I know.
it's not normal. Don't tell me that that's a normal way to
No,
break.
it isn't normal.
Okay.
And you know what, Peter? I don't think I could do it to you, and I barely know you. So that's what messes with me.
It should be even easier if you don't know me.
Where in his thinking could he, because it was like what he did to me was the equivalent of kicking a puppy. I was so adoring and loving of him. Where in it was it satisfying more to be malicious and harmful to me than it was to watch me go through that and find some satisfaction?
Here's the deal.
What type of person, first of all, is willing to do that to someone they say they love? Because I don't know about you, if I love you, Peter, I don't care if I've ever had a problem with you. I'm not going to harm you because that causes harm in me. It makes me feel like crap.
Are you asking me or telling me?
I'm asking you. Would you ever be able to harm somebody
No.
one time you loved?
No. Look, here's what's happening right now. This is a lot. This is going to have to be a two-parter because we're going to talk to Victoria from getting kicked in the head and right to the point where you are now out of the picture. And we're going to stop it there. I wanted to just get to where are you right now, but there's just no way. And will you come back on the show in another week or so, and we'll do part 2, or maybe even next week? Who knows? But I got Jonathan, another Jonathan that I have to talk to because I lined that up. But this is deep. But now I want to know Victoria's recovery from just getting pushed blindsided, but we'll never be able to do it in 3 minutes.
Well, I can wrap it up very quickly so you all don't think I'm going to jump off a cliff.
I don't think you're going to jump off a cliff. I'd rather give you a little more time, but if you want to wrap it up real quickly, but I got 2 minutes. You know what I mean? I'd rather leave it at this is what position you put in, and then let's get back to you on where are you going and where are you now in that short time. Will you do that?
Yes. All I'll say is that all that time that I was leading up to this,
yes,
I had already done the spiritual work of untying my happiness from circumstances and studying the law of attraction.
All right, we'll talk about
that.
So
I've taken a lot of responsibility in how I positioned myself to find yet another person who is willing to be deceptive. So there's something in me that's picking partners that have a common denominator, and I'm taking responsibility.
I hear a lot of things like that. Who knows? You don't know. I mean, if I was lying to you, if I was, robbing banks or something, and I never told you, it's like, how the hell are you supposed to know? But we'll get to that.
Peter, he used to look at me with a look that would make me a little nervous.
Okay.
That if I ever saw it again, Peter, I would turn around and run.
Well, who knew? See, hindsight, there we go again. It's like you knew, but you don't know, and, but I'm telling you, this is where we're going to go at this, and you can have a choice. If you want to come back on next week and talk to me about this, you can, or if you want to breathe for a week and then, whatever you want to do, I'll talk to you about that during the week. But I want to leave.
I'll come back, Peter.
Okay.
I'll come back. I just want you to know I'm in a good place mentally.
Good. Well, we're going to find that out.
I'll come back.
We're going to find that out because spiritual and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that may be needing things like that. That's why I want to give you a little more time on that. But for right now, we just heard about how many. And real quick, in the form of the course of how many weeks did all this take place from him saying you're out to where you're out?
4th of July,
Okay.
I was at his friend's house that he ran to instead of coming
Okay.
home from the airport. Spent 5 hours chopping food for his
Okay.
fiance. The next day, this happened.
Okay, so how many days before you were like, you're officially out?
Exactly 3 weeks
Okay, 3 weeks.
from the time
Okay.
that I was on the phone till he served me, and 3 days later, I was gone.
Okay.
And by the way, I've not talked to him, reached out, and made any effort to make contact since my move out.
Here's what we're going to do. When I get you back on, we'll do a quick 2-minute review of the week of what we just talked about, and then we're going to move forward on how you're bouncing back and what's going on with you for the positive. How about that, okay?
Sounds good, Peter.
Okay. I thank you for the guts to come on and talk to this to, my close few 100 million people, but now we're going to talk, we'll talk about this, and you can be in any position you want to be and talk about that too, because that's kind of interesting as well, okay?
Very good, Peter. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, Victoria, we'll talk to you next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Deal.
Okay.
All right, love you. Talk to you
All
later.
right.
All right, good night.
Bye.
Bye. There you have it, folks. Victoria on the West Coast. Loving relationship. Thought everything was going great. 3 years after being divorced from another, relationship gone bad, and kids, and you fall in love. You think everything's going honky-dory, and then one day, blindsided, hit in the back of the head, finding out things that you never knew existed or had a hinkling about, but didn't even know. We're going to talk to her next week. I got to get back on the phone because I've got a young lad who I promised to talk to, and the problem was when I had him on the show when I was in the Gulf Coast, I had all kinds of problems, and the phone call didn't go through. I was talking to him, nobody else can hear. So I'm going to keep pushing on. We're going to get back with Victoria. She's going to tell us the upside of where she's going next Sunday night. But right now we're going to call Jonathan from the Gulf Coast, and he's a young lad who's got some things going on that a little bit different, but all the same.
Hello.
Jonathan.
Hey, Peter.
You're live on the Peter G Show. You good?
Yeah, man. Everything's moving along, man. Just like life does.
Okay.
I mean, I know the last time we talked, things were hectic and was in a bad place. The fresh divorce, obviously dealing with a partner that was, ready to move on, having to accept that it was probably obviously for the best, so a lot of reflection and a lot of love and support from a lot of good people. And really just kind of now, I mean, man, I got to tell you, I'm in a great place. And I can't thank everybody enough, just for their advice, their love, support, and encouragement, and to keep praying, man. It's helped a lot. And the truth is things, all things considered, they really couldn't be any better. Her and I, we are still, considering. I mean, we are still at the point where we're cohabitating, but that's going to be, we're in an agreement with all of the terms of the pending divorce, with the things with the kids. We're even at an agreement with the frame of time, the time frame that she's got to, be able to get out and get on her own feet. And the dynamic of our relationship has shifted, pretty naturally, I actually have to say, to just being friends. And it actually has been a lot more of a natural thing than us being a couple ever was. We're actually getting along much better now without that dynamic between us than we were, which
all right.
creates a lot less stressful environment for the kids. And the truth is, she seems like she's moving in a direction where she's going to be happy. I know that I feel like I'm moving in a direction to where I'm going to be happy. And I mean, life just God is a great thing, and I'm not going to get all preachy and religion-y, man.
Right.
But we're down, and and we need to reach out, man. And we do, and we're. I mean, he has a way of providing, man. Or life has a way of providing. I mean, it's like you say. It can seem like at a moment that it's the end of the world. That it's just never going to get any better. But that's not true. And
hang on.
It just takes some. Yeah.
Hold on one second. I want to back it up for a second, okay? Because you came on, and for those who don't know and missed the call the last time, you're in your early 30s, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 32.
So Jonathan got married at what age, or your relationship since high school, correct?
Well, it was basically she was fresh out of high school. I mean, basically a couple of months out, and I was a year out of high school.
Okay. So one of the beginning relationships. Is it safe to say you didn't have a whole lot of relationships, because you were both so young, correct?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
In fact, I only had one serious relationship throughout high school, and then that ended right as I got out of high school.
Okay. How many kids you got?
3.
What's the ages?
Well, my oldest is 11. He'll be 12 on Halloween, and then my daughter's 9, and my son is 4.
Okay. So then all this started falling apart not too long ago, and I caught wind of this, and because we have mutual friends and I spend a lot of time in the Gulf Coast, and you were really, again, when this stuff hits you, you're not well versed in it. Nobody ever makes it a career on, going through bad relationships, and it's pretty mind boggling, and it, makes your head spin. And you were just reaching out because you needed somebody, something, some way. And now,
Yeah.
how many months have passed?
Well, really, since we have decided, let's see, we decided that we were going to go ahead and move forward with the divorce on July 22nd. So a little over a month.
It's funny how you know the exact days on certain things. It's
Well,
sad but true.
The reason I can picture it clearly is because it was a week after we had basically said that our relationship was which was actually on our anniversary, our dating anniversary, which was July 15th, and it was a week after that. So that's why I can remember.
I get it. But the thing is, a lot of times, and we spoke about this before, it can go from we're going to try and handle it mutually and, with some respect to each other, and things can easily go awry, which I thought was happening to you, to where things were escalating.
It was.
Okay. So
it was like that. And then, it's just,
how did it calm down? Because usually it gets worse.
Well, what made it calm down is, it's like I said, I really had to do a lot of reflection and had to understand that, is crappy and as weird as it is, the truth is the reason that we decided to, and I'm talking about in terms of, it was really hard for me to accept, being in the same house still and not knowing that she was going to make any sort of a time frame commitment when she was still going out and dating this fellow, which that ended up not being the case. So I just, after I went through the process, met with the attorney and everything like that, and then we talked again. And then she said that she was in agreement of the 90-day period. And really what it is that I had to kind of reach out and be bigger than myself and see the bigger picture and say that, instead of fighting her on this, that I really, as hard as it is and as weird as it may sound to other people, the truth is we just didn't work as a couple, but I do not want her to be unhappy. She is the mother of my kids. I do care about her.
Sure.
And so the best thing that I could do is just offer what support I can give. And, that has, that has been what has worked. Is
big balls, because a lot of times, again, you just can't help it. You get all worked up. Your brain starts moving faster than your common sense. And before long, it does get escalated and does move into other territories. And then the day by day of having to face this person going, we're getting ready to friggin', just destroy everything that we've had for the past, however many years. But very good.
Yeah.
Very
and
good.
I think, obviously the challenge not to do that obviously was there at the beginning because you're so raw.
It's
with
a challenge.
emotion.
Yes. You're
but
pissed.
it was a lot of, honestly, it was a lot. I just feel like a lot of prayer and guidance has really
Good.
just paid off, because I mean,
You're one of
I
the-
don't know where I got the strength to do it, but I'm glad that I did, and everything seems to be going well.
You're one of the few, because again, I'd love to say that, I would have been in the same boat, but I couldn't have been in the same boat. I was somewhere in the middle, and again, then you got lawyers, and certain lawyers can fuel the fire because that's how they make a living, and all that shit just, burned my life to the ground. And I did want to be cordial because I did want to think about the children. Most people, they think about that stuff after all the damage is done, and
Yeah.
and so good. I commend you, for being, because especially being younger, sometimes you get really ornery, and it's like, you're still kind of bulletproof, and it's like, fuck this, and I ain't taking this shit. And you destroyed it. It's all your fault. And he said, she said, and before you know it, it's a friggin' mess. So,
Well, yeah,
good
and
for
that was
you.
thank you, Peter. I appreciate that.
Well,
Yeah,
so now what's on the agenda? So far so good. I was figuring I was going to hear a worse story, not knowing, because you've been trying to get a hold of me a lot lately, which is fine. Just unfortunately, the show is just an hour. It's been kind of hectic.
No, I know. No, I just a lot of it, man. I just
You just want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, well, I want to talk. I've been trying to make it more of a point. That's one thing that I did wrong while being locked in, being into this marriage, is that I kind of locked myself away from just reaching out and talking to people, which is something that I always did. Even if I was going through shit, I always would like to know how other people was doing. Not talk about my shit, but just reach out and see, what, if I'm feeling bad about my own situation.
Yep.
And there may be nothing I can do about it, but I think about it and say, well, dude, you're not the only one going through shit, and you may not be able to help yourself right now, but maybe, reach out to somebody. And it doesn't have to be anything big. You don't have to be the advice giver. You don't have to be the anything, just to reach out and say, hey man, I was thinking about you. I hope you're having a good day.
Well,
just something like that, man. It's just some positivity just put out
not
there.
even
There's so much-
advice, just sharing the story, because believe me, your story is one of the better ones. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that not a lot. There's the odds of having an amicable, breakup in a relationship. Just as, I don't know if you were listening to the show, we just got off the phone with Victoria, who's a woman about my age, and she's a good-looking woman too. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how good-looking you are, this and that. I mean, when shit hits the fan, and it takes two. And if you can only, so it takes two to make that understanding. If your wife did not want to make it easy for you, she would have not made it easy for you. So good for her too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally commend her, because look, I mean, we're two totally different people.
You outgrew each other. Okay, it happens.
Basically, I mean, I don't think the truth is everything happened so fast. I think we didn't give ourselves the true time enough to assess that we were correct for each other.
But don't you think though, if she wanted that, you would have been still trying?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it was just, and that's the thing. I think I was in denial for.
Sure.
I dragged it on for a long, because she let me know time and time again that
nobody wants to go through this crap. I mean,
it was over, that she was feeling and everything like that. And basically the relationship had been, and I won't go into any, because I don't want to embarrass anybody or throw anybody under the bus, but our relationship had been at a stalemate, for a long time, whenever we finally did come to this decision, and I just kept trying to make things work. I had made a lot of mistakes, she did too. We didn't treat each other well, and it unraveled into a very toxic sort of thing. And even though things got better as far as what her expectations were, and me being able to meet those expectations, by the time that it happened, too much damage had been done, too much resentment had been caused. And I kept wanting to have faith that, she'll see what I'm doing. She, I do all the right things.
Well,
and
sometimes
the
that
right
don't
things
even
will
mean
happen.
shit. So I'm telling you,
and
it takes two. Like, you're lucky,
right? And that's what I had on our last conversation, and I just had to accept it. I said, and it's not fair to her or to me to sit there. I wanted to be optimistic. I thought I was doing the right thing by sitting there saying, no, I just keep trying, keep having faith, and I did. I'm not ashamed that I did that, because that means that I cared, that I tried, but I also had to get to the point where I had to accept that it was unhealthy to keep that optimism.
Gotcha.
Because I just had to accept that
Right.
she was not going to be happy, and I was not going to be happy with somebody that I could not do anything to make happy.
At that point, it's not even optimism; it's denial. I mean, it just really is.
It is denial.
Okay.
It is
You know what I normally do nowadays when I get into that same position?
What's that?
I have myself some Bolt energy. I electrify my senses.
There it is.
You know why? Because there's no preservatives and it tastes good, and it gets me right back to where I can focus and say, okay, Peter, get your shit together. Let's do this calmly.
I'll have to take you up on that. I usually hit up a cup of coffee. I haven't tried both.
Oh, no. The Bolt energy is, it's again, they're spreading, and the whole Pensacola Gulf Coast area, we're working on it over there too, but I'm just, bringing that in because that was a cheap ploy, but
no, hey, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Well, if it wasn't for them, this show would not be here right now. So I have
Exactly.
I have a lot to be thankful for, and I'm thankful for even you laying your trust to tell the few of my closest friends, or 3 million or whatever it is, and to open up, because a lot of people, you have no idea how many people write me during the week and say, dude, I love your show, because we do the reruns during the week, and I love your show, but I just can't, I just want to watch, it's like, so I got a lot of lurkers, but to actively come on here and talk about your personal life, it's not a bad thing, because you're sharing, and I'm a firm believer, and you have no idea who might be needing this story right now to help keep their side of what's going on in their lives peaceful, instead of it erupting into a shitstorm.
Well, that's actually, not trying to be, because I don't consider myself to be any sort of, like I said, a
Nor do
guru
I.
or any sort of advice giver.
Nor
But
do I.
that is the reason why I felt it was important to share this story, in case it could help somebody else.
And it will, I promise you. Anybody catching certain things, believe me, we've all been there, and it's so easy to fly off the handle. That's the easiest thing to do. It's hard to hold your shit together and be. My attorney kept saying, keep wearing the white hat, as I was getting kicked in the nuts repetitively. And, and it got really old wearing the white hat, because it just didn't work my way. There was no understanding. The word unreasonable got used a gazillion trillion times in court, because she was so friggin' unreasonable, because when you're pissed, that's what you do. So you're a lucky man.
Yep.
You're a lucky man. I wish it went that
I
way.
am.
I just went to a parent-teacher. It was back-to-school night the other night. I hadn't seen her in almost a year. And, I'm 3 feet away from her, and still won't look, won't talk. And I'm tired trying to put the olive branch out there. I just wish, we could just be adults, and just for my daughter's sake, although my daughter handles it very well. But, it's like, I just wish it could be a little more cordial, just because life is just too short. There was a lot of great years, and you can't forget about all the good years just because, it's blowing up in your face for that 1 year or whatever.
That's absolutely true. And no, and I'm so sorry to hear that things are not.
That's why I got this
are
show.
not going that way.
Well, it's, we live with it. It's livable. I'm not dying from it or nothing, but it would be nice.
It would be.
Finally.
And I mean,
Finally.
all I can say, man, just I don't know, man, just keep the prayers going.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying it's really funny how when you meet somebody and they're laughing at all your jokes and everything, and then all of a sudden those same things you do aren't funny anymore. They hit the nail on the head, because all of a sudden I just wasn't, nothing appealed to her anymore. When she turned off, and, for years, and that's a hard one, because it's like, what, don't forget about, there was some good stuff too. You guys didn't get married because you knew, said, let's just get married so we can have kids and just break up. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think if they're built up with any sort of a resentment or anything like that, I think they eventually, everybody, I want to believe in the good in everybody, and I want to believe that eventually they have the capability of coming around. Some people do and some people don't.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the optimism in that. And who knows? You never know that given time, the right amount of time, the right thoughts will settle and the right things will this. And I'm sure that eventually, if she's got any sense of humanity in her, that she will come to realize that it was not all bad.
Well,
she's still fresh with it a year out.
Again, who knows? All I can tell you is there's good and bad people, both men and women, and it just depends on which person you want to be. But that's just life, and you have to be prepared to deal with whatever, hand you're dealt, and then go from there and constantly keep readjusting. So I commend you on that. So, okay, real quick, because unfortunately we're going to have to wrap it up. And, again, you're more than welcome to, check in on you down the road. Seems like everything is going okay, but every time I would rest my eyes thinking that we're on the mend, I'd get whacked from the back of the head again. I hope that doesn't happen for you. But anything you want to just wrap up with? So now what's your deal? Now that you found peace, how are you going to split the kids? Is that something or are you going to have to go to court to have a court decide?
No. Okay. We're pretty well decided as
good.
far as right now what the arrangement is going to be. No, that's as far as the custody, as far as the splitting of,
Good.
as far
That's
the splitting
messy.
of properties, all that. We're not fighting about that. Really, the thing is, we just want to give each other the space to be able to be happy because we weren't happy in our situation.
Well, you never know. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, she may find out the grass wasn't greener, and you both grow as adults. I've seen it happen. It's kind of weird, but it's sometimes.
Well, believe me, at this point, it's. Even if she were to decide that it's just, I'm not there anymore.
That's right there. I know, because it's fresh right now. But I'm just saying, weirder, stranger things have happened. And if not, again, if you all can just be, cordial and friends and for the sake of your kids for the rest of your life, God bless you. That's all I can say.
Well, and I hope he will.
Yeah,
he has been so far.
Okay, well, cool. All right, Jonathan, then again, I appreciate you calling in, and I'm going to wrap up the show here. It's been a full, I didn't take any calls. I don't want to, again, this kind of stuff takes time. You just don't, do it in 5 minutes, or if you do, somebody's going to have to teach me how. It doesn't work like that, at least not for me, because, people need to hear things, but I appreciate it. You were the positive closing part of this. Victoria was just talking about a disaster that went on with her, and I could not finish the show. Yeah. And she's going to have to call next week, and then we're going to get to the positive on how she's turned around this blindsided breakup of a relationship and where she's at now. But you seem to be on the mend, and I'm glad for you. And again, you can always write me.
I heard Victoria's story too, and I would just like to as far as just a kind of small reach out, just to tell her, hey, hang in there.
Yeah, well, she's hung in there. Believe me, this is a woman, that's not her first rodeo, unfortunately, but, it gets old. It's just like everybody deserves to be happy, I think. Some people are miserable, and they'll always be miserable, but most people, I think it's not even about money, just want to be happy. At the end of the day, it's like, happy.
That's exactly right. I mean,
it
has nothing to do with money. It's more about, I think, finding what brings you peace within your own self. Yeah. I mean, that for some people that may be money, for some people that may be just getting through the day and saying, hey, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, I still got a roof over my head, I'm grateful to have what I have.
You got it. All right. Well, I'm grateful that I have this show, and I got Bolt Energy backing me on this show, but unfortunately, Jonathan, I'm going to have to wrap it up because it's just the end of our hour, and I'm going over again as normal. But again, I thank you for coming on, and you just keep in touch with me as you do, and if anything needs to be spoken or said of, you just let me know ahead of time, and we'll figure it out. How's that?
All righty, Peter. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You take care of yourself.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Jonathan, younger guy, married out of high school, basically. 3 kids, managed to break up, divorce, or start divorcing amicably. Doesn't happen a whole lot. Normally it's a friggin' shitstorm disaster, but he seems to be plowing through it. Thought it was going to get kind of tumbly there for a minute, and he managed to get through it. But again, tomorrow's another day. I thought I was going to do that a few times. Rocky road, rough seas, whatever. All right, you guys. Peter G Show, Life of Peter G. Didn't take a single. I was maybe going to take some questions with these guys, but I just let them tell the story. We just share stories here. Again, thoughts and prayers for you guys over on the East Coast. Hope you fare the weather. Hurricane. Don't forget, the Peter G Show, Life of Peter G live can be partied, watch party, hurricane party, but we rebroadcast these shows a couple of times during the week at different times for those who don't stay up late, because I realize it's later on the East Coast than it is over here, and you can always start a watch party. You can watch the show on demand. It's real simple. You can go to my page, The Peter G Show, Peter Gisellas, Peter G, whatever page, YouTube. It's all on YouTube with everything up there. And on the Facebook stuff, though, when you're watching, even when you're watching the rebroadcast, you just hit the share button. And then it says start a watch party, and do that because you're sending it out to all your friends. I can't say it enough. Because just like Jonathan said, if his story can go to a few other people to keep you level-headed, to stop things from getting worse, and believe me, when they get worse, they get worse. That's putting it lightly. It can cost you, it can cost you more ways than one. So I urge you guys to share my show. I appreciate y'all hanging in there and watching from afar, but let us know you're there. But by sharing and doing a watch party, that's the best thing you can do so I can make this show bigger and better for you guys. I love every one of you because of the support you've been giving me, and we're growing nothing but bigger. All this stuff within the next 2 weeks or so. I should have been having these all on podcasts on my iTunes Peter G Show podcasts. I haven't put anything new up there since the first of the year because of the different format I'm doing and all that. But all this is going to be on there so that way you can listen to these shows on the go and you don't have to have your phone open. You can close it and it still plays because the podcasts are like Pandora and all that kind of stuff. And you can listen to it at work. I mean, you don't necessarily have to see this, but I like the live thing. I think it's kind of fun. But I love you guys. Don't forget, share, and we'll see you next Sunday, except for the rebroadcasts. And you can always, share those things. Watch party. You can comment on them. We read all that stuff. So far, it hasn't gotten out of hand. But when we're doing live like this, there's just too much to handle, and we just let the cards fall where they may. Because, again, if you're doing a watch party and you're sharing that, you don't know if they're sharing that. And there's all these people out there that we can't even account for them. But I know they're out there because I can feel it. I see it. I get the emails. I get the texts. So I love you for it. All right. Next Sunday and every Sunday, Life of Peter G. I appreciate it. I hope you have a safe Labor Day weekend almost over. Hope you enjoyed the show. I love you guys. Can't say it enough. And the hurricane people on the East Coast, our thoughts and prayers. I hope it just makes a little bit of a mess and you guys take all that boarding up and everybody's safe. That's the only thing that matters. You can always rebuild stuff. And usually when that happens, because you're rebuilding stuff that needs to be rebuilt bigger and stronger. But handle it. We got your back, all right? So that's it. See you next week, all right? Peace out.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, Peter G Show, Peter G Show. Divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad. Peter G Show.